Hey, I'm your host, Wes.
And I'm your host, Scott.
Come on in and grab a seat.
Because you're hanging with us at the Barbershop.
So yeah, interesting night last night.
Crazy.
I went home and I was in the bathroom and Kim was upstairs, and next thing I know, my phone gets a little ding ding. So I look at it and she sends me this Twitter link, and it's some guy, no random guy, I know who it is. Breaking news, shooting in Bob Cajun, and I'm like, what? And then you messaged like within seconds.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then that seemed to be the prevailing what was going on last night.
We didn't get any kind of feedback off the fire department.
Nothing. And what weirdly though, because I took the dogs out for their last pee for the night, and I brought them back in, and as I put the leashes back in the closet and I'm standing there, I put Bob in his little shaky Bob in his cage, and Kiri's down on the landing, and then I go upstairs to close the curtains, and there's an unmarked police car at the gas station across the street. Now he's not even out of the car, but he's pretty sure he's checking ID, because there's a guy and a girl at the pumps with the BMW, and they've both walked over and handed him,
right,
and then he's handed back. So yeah,
either it'll come out or it never will, and it'll go down as like folklore of the shooting in
be like the
2021.
Yeah, or the what is it? Oh wait, that's not a rumor. I was going to say the Bob Cajun axe murder, but that's true. Okay, enough of that. Hey everybody, it's another episode of Hanging at the Barbershop. I'm your host, Wes.
And I'm Scott.
And hey, check it out. There he is. It's producer Andy.
Hello.
This is a very special episode of Hanging at the Barbershop, something that we've been talking about for a while. Scott, this I think is your idea, was to try and do like a homegrown segment where we could
reach out to alumni or past residents, past classmates.
Yeah.
Because everybody leaves the area, or most people leave the area.
Well, and then there's in my case, I left and came back. Yeah.
Right. So it's just cool if and when you really start to look at some of the people that have left and done stuff, and that it's neat to see what people have done and push forward with and stuff, and makes the world seem a little more exciting than good old Bob Cajun, other than last night.
Yeah. Living vicariously through unreputable, questionable news sources.
Right. Right. But so that was, and Andy had mentioned that he had gone to school with somebody that was now a published author.
That's awesome.
So
I don't think I know many published authors.
Oh, man.
My wife is trying to be a published author.
Well, and this I think speaks volumes of necessarily, and I think he's gone about it, not to spoil the interview, he's gone about it a little differently, not a traditional publishing route, which is cool. We'll talk about that, and I think that's neat, and I think that's really cool information to put out in the world for other people that may be like, man, I just can't crack that nut. Well, you know what? Maybe you don't need to.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the world we live in now, where like with a lot of media, certainly with our experiences with our other folks in our recording family who are like publishing their own music now. Like there's no, you're not necessarily bound to the traditional, I need a record deal, or I need a book deal, or there's so much more that you can do on your own now, and the tools are so readily available.
And you just got to put it out there, and I think people find it, and we've been amazed with this whole process.
How people find us.
And you look at someone.
I think we're up to 6 now.
Yeah, thank you.
We love you all.
But where some of the downloads are coming from, which is just weird. Like, right? Nobody knows anybody in Frankfurt, Germany, or nobody knows anybody.
Right.
And it's like, well, was that just a random thought he was going to hear about haircuts?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but.
I said this last night. I said, I wonder how many actual barbers listen to our show going, these guys don't talk about hair at all.
Lack thereof.
All right. Well, let's not waste any more time. Andy, I'm gonna push it over to you because our guest today, Kinota Braithwaite, is a high school friend of yours, right?
Yes.
So why don't you do the introductions, and let's bring Kinota in here and say hello.
Hey, how are you?
Hey, Kinota.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Good.
Glad to have you here. So it's been a while. We haven't really been in contact much other than Facebook since high school, but life has taken you on quite the journey.
Right. Yeah, I know, man. It's been a while, man. I remember back in Finland Falls, you were doing all the photography work for the, I guess it was the Gazette.
I was in the Gazette at that point, yeah.
The Finland Falls Gazette?
The Finland Falls Gazette.
Before they folded. Yeah, that's really old school.
Yeah, we ended up getting a shot of Kinota actually slam dunking over top of another friend into the paper there. So
Right. So yeah, it was good
Scotty
memories,
and I were both residents of Finland. We both grew up in Finland, so we went to Finland as well, and we lived there. So yeah, when we say the Gazette, that's old school.
Right? I remember when it ended. It's
me too.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the way of printed media, right?
That's for sure.
Right. Yeah.
So Kinota, you're not much young. You're Andy's age, which means you're not that much younger than we are. How did
No.
How did you end up getting to Finland Falls?
So basically, my mom, like I was living in Toronto, and it was kind of a turbulent situation in Toronto. And then my mom was like, we've got to get you out of this situation.
Sure.
And get you furthest away from the Toronto life. It's kind of like the Fresh Prince.
Yeah.
But to Finland Falls, that would have been like culture shock right there, right?
Right. It was. I believe I was the only Black student at that time that was in the school.
You know what? And we had talked about this, right? Is when we went to high school, it would have been Andrew Dopwell,
and then Anna Mae Williams,
right.
So what? 2 Black families in town most of our life,
and then and as you say, right? It's where you sit and everything, and how you relate to it back to your life. And I was like, and ideally, the only Chinese family that lived in town owned the Chinese food restaurant, and it's like,
yes.
And I mean, it's I don't know if that's the right way to associate the girls that's who their parents were, but to me, that's what it was. And my parents were the people that owned the hardware store. So I was never my own person. I was Fred and Catherine's kid.
Oh yeah, the same thing. You're guilty by association when you live in a small town. My dad was the foreman of the municipal works for the village before amalgamation. So if anything happened that I was connected to, I mean, there was no way that my parents weren't finding out about it.
Right. Said the picnic table.
Yeah. Well, that's a whole other story.
Right. So what years did you do your entire high school career in Finland, or you got there like 10?
I did. I believe I was there for grade 11 and grade 12. So we were there in grade 11, grade 12. I didn't do my OACs. I went to college afterwards. But I guess that would be like 96 or 95.
So you were literally just after me. So I was one of those kids. This is funny, not to make it about me, but I graduated on what I like to call the 7-year plan because I dropped out twice. So I came back. I actually graduated in 95. So you were just behind me then.
Right. Yeah. So you probably know.
We probably passed each other in the hallways at some point.
Well, it's funny, right? Yeah. I was looking at the Facebook page, right, and it's like, 2 mutual friends, and I'm like, well, Andy's one, and my sister-in-law is actually the other one. Amanda Randall used to be a Telford. She's my sister-in-law, so it's like, so right, that puts you guys all sort of in that same age category. So it's like, it's like, right, and it's like, man, I don't even get 2 degrees of separation. But it's a small town, and I mean, as you say, as long as people kind of keep reached out and Facebook and a like here and a like there, The people don't get that far away. And now,
okay, but that 2 degrees of separation, let's quantify that though, because now Kinota, you are living in Japan.
Yes.
So I mean, that 2 degrees of separation now connects you to infinitely more people. So I mean, again, just one more example of how small the world is.
Yeah, we're all connected. We're all connected.
So I was going to say earlier, we've met other kids that were in similar situations that you were in, where there was something going on, and it's a very common story. Toronto or GTA, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get out of the city. And so, in my own experience with the kids that were, as I call them, transplants, it goes one of two ways. Either there's reforms or it gets worse.
Right.
So presumably in your case, it got better.
Yes, definitely.
Well,
yeah, definitely. Like, I mean, the thing is that there were, what I liked about Finland is that the teachers there, they really cared. Yeah. And like you said, if you were to do something that wasn't the right thing, they would definitely tell your parents. They would see them at the IGA.
That's right.
Yeah.
They'd see them at the bank. They would see them at J&B's. Is J&B still there?
No.
J&B's, the building still exists, but sadly it became, oh my gosh. So Finland, this is a little quick history lesson about Finland.
Right.
Finland has finally gotten a natural gas supply.
Aha.
So after like a million years of not being able to heat your home with natural gas, miraculously now you can. So over the last 2 years, there's been this influx of like natural gas related businesses. And so J&B actually became like a home comfort store for about a year and a half, and it is now sitting vacant.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I got a lot of good memories there. You get some candy and
yeah.
What's funny because Scott and I grew up with the owners.
John's a year older.
Yeah,
your age.
Yeah, that's right.
A year older than me, and then Robin. I still see Robin. I think she's
Robin Adamson, right?
Yeah, she's in Peterborough, so I see her occasionally.
Robin's mom still works at Sobeys. And
Judy.
Judy.
Yeah.
And then Bob. Bob was my softball coach, like in public school. So I mean, we knew him very well. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's good memories. Yeah, very good memories.
So you come to Finland, everything kind of turns around for you, and then high school ends. Let's talk about the next phase of your life, because I'm curious, how does a small town kid go from Finland Falls to Japan?
Okay, so I finished school, and then I was working in computers for a bit, and then I was at the company, and I read this paper, and it said teach English in Japan.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, that sounds kind of interesting. We'll check it out. And then I went to Japan, and I taught English initially, and then my grandfather passed away, and then I came back to Japan. And then I met my ex-wife.
Okay.
And then we lived in Japan for a few years. And then we left after the big earthquake.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's when my son was born. And it just wasn't a good situation.
Remind me what year that was?
That was up in Fukushima.
What year that was when the nuclear
2011, yeah.
2011. Okay, so in the grand scheme of things, not that long ago.
No. It wasn't that long ago. So it was like we didn't really know whether to stay, whether to go. The government wasn't saying. They were kind of like trying to brush it under the carpet. Everything's good. And then I had a young son at the time, and I was like, well, I don't know. I did, chemistry class with Doc Skiok.
Yeah.
And I knew that radiation wasn't really a good thing, right? So I decided.
Suddenly you're having visions of Godzilla.
Yeah, things that stick, right?
Right. So I thought to myself, okay, we'll just take a little rest, and then we'll go back to Canada.
Okay.
So then I found a job up in Yellowknife.
Oh, wow.
Teaching. Yeah, that's an awesome place. That's a really, really nice place.
I've been as far as the airport.
Yeah.
On my way
good
through.
Place, so I mean, really good people. Really, kind of reminds you of like Finland Falls, like that small town.
Yeah.
You get to know everybody. People are like very supportive, and you have to be because it's so cold, right?
Right.
I mean, you can't be angry up there because like, what are you gonna do? It's
One
so
thing
cold.
is,
It's so dark.
Northern
so I was
Canada
there.
is its own animal. I mean, I had visited the Northwest Territories before, and it really got a sense of like when everything, like when the milk is imported,
right?
You know, it's a different way of living, right? So I mean, everything is scarce all year round, so you make do with what you have, and that just creates a whole different sense of community.
Yes, because you got like, I mean, it's not just like Toronto or even Finland, you know, where you can just get things, right? Everything has to be shipped in.
That's right.
And it's just a different way of living. So we were there for a bit, and then we I found a job in Prague, and I stayed there for a bit.
Wow.
And then which is a really nice city. It was really really nice. And then spent 1 year in Vienna. And then I moved back to Japan to be with my my kids.
So you've been all over the place. Northern Canada, Europe, and now Japan.
And now, back in Japan. So
some air miles were gotten.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I get free flights now, right? Well, I guess if we're flying.
Yeah, I guess, right? Slowly but surely, there's another back to norms. But that's very cool. So you've never really had any problem with relocation?
No. I mean, I think coming to Finland, that really taught me a lot, you know, because I will admit it was a culture shock. It was a culture shock. But overall, like the experience was good. Like I didn't have I can't say that I had a bad experience there. I made friends. Guys like Andy were there, you know? There's just like really good people up there. So, I mean, it's a really nice place, you know, like some people that live there, they're like, oh no, it's actually a really nice place.
And you know what? And I think too, it's so interesting because you would have like social dynamics that you would never see in Toronto, or what I would assume you'd never see in Toronto, like the sea of plaid and the cowboy boots. I don't know how many, you know, schools in Toronto have that clique. or somebody that's like, oh yeah, I got up early and you know we
went
milked the cows,
the barn chores,
or no, I can't hang out after school because I gotta go home and I gotta do chores. I gotta or no, we're picking stones in the field today because we're planting in 3 weeks. And I was shocked. I was a town kid, right? So
me too.
Okay.
Right, and you get hanging out with other people, and even in that small as Finland as a feeder school, but as you say, it does give you a pretty diverse cross section of everything, because as things progressed and more people were looking to get out of the city, and I think we saw that at the tail end of our high school experience, because I mean, for the longest time, I mean, we were in classes with the same people we were in classes since kindergarten, and then you get these new people that get inputted, and you know, it just opens your eyes and brings different opinions on music.
Oh yeah,
because I always found we were behind in a lot of things, or fashion, and all of a sudden you get somebody with friends in the city, or you know, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, that's what that is, or you know, this is what we're doing. And those kids that had those associations just seemed a little bit cooler to me, but what do I know? But that really does prepare you, as you say, to be a world traveler, right? And gave you the ability to fit in and associate, I assume, pretty quick. And you're an outgoing guy in this short conversation. I mean, sometimes I feel like that little bit of a struggle to get going, but
I mean, I can't, like, I can say that, like, I always look back and I really have a lot of respect for the teachers and stuff that were there. Oh, we got Finland up. Whoa.
Yeah.
You guys got me there.
Do you recognize where that's actually from?
So
That's the movie theater. No?
That
That
is
is.
the theater marquee. This became a major project in the village.
Uh-huh.
The movie theater has now been torn down, but
Oh no.
there was a big movement. Yeah, it changed hands a few times, and
Okay.
there was no real, desire to sort of make it anything performing arts anymore. So the building got sold, it got torn down, but not before this big campaign to save the theater marquee. So the marquee was removed from the building. It spent, oh my God, over a year.
Yeah.
Getting restored. And so now it is mounted on a plinth at the locks. So as boaters are coming into the lock from Cameron Lake, that's what they see. And it's gorgeous sitting there, sort of in that dusky dawn light. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had good, I mean, it was never busy. The theater it was always,
not very, right. Where could you go? And maybe there'd be a bit of lineup, but they got everybody in almost every night.
Right.
Here's another one for you, just in case. This is our high school.
Man! Oh wow!
Yeah.
Wow.
So there's our high school, and I think that's just before or just after the renovation. It's before the new electronic sign was put on the front lawn. Anyway.
I feel like that's.
I think that's pre.
That whole part on the front, that's
the wheelchair
new.
accessibility. Yeah, I think
because you figure the front of the school used to be where
just
the windows,
the flat part. That's correct.
So that became offices and stuff.
Yeah, you're right. So
wow,
sure, that brings.
And then across the street was Marshall's, I believe. No.
Yeah, it's gone.
We were just
gone,
last night.
They tore and somebody came in, tore it down, built a very nice building. It was a hunting and sporting goods store.
Yep.
Okay.
And now it's sort of home decor and knickknacks.
It is. It's
okay.
The Bunkie now.
Yeah, the Barn and Bunkie.
Run by Brandy Watson.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I remember her.
But yeah, so I mean, it's cool as you say, right? And I mean, what was the last time that you'd be through Finland? Do you even get back? Would you ever go back to Finland? There's no.
I think I was maybe in my 20s. It's been such a like I was back through like Kinmount because my grandfather had a property up there.
Right.
Kinmount, and I had a friend, Andy Stanton. I don't know if you know him.
I know the family. Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to connect with him. I'm still in touch with him. So sometimes I would go up and then see him, see his dad and his mom. Real good people. Yeah, real good people.
Yeah. But yeah, because they lived down from Sobeys. You can
recognize. Is it Sobeys or?
It is so down from Sobeys, and you can recognize their house because they have the giant concrete form in front of their house because they live on the corner,
right in the house.
And they had somebody pop into the garage or the front room one night, coming back up. Maybe that's Witchwood. I don't know.
Elliot.
Maybe, and they
missed
the turn. Yeah. So then when they got everything fixed, they put a big concrete form there. I'm sure that makes them sleep a little better.
Like a Jersey barrier?
Basically one of those 4 feet concrete, like the divide the highway.
Yeah. Oh, Jersey barrier. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Right.
I guess it would.
His dad wasn't playing around. He's
one car hits your house, you'd do something definitive too.
Yeah. Like that's that can be family altering kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But
yeah.
Well, that's cool. Yeah.
So Kinota, you're back in Japan now, and you've been there for a few years now. What are you doing now?
So I'm working at a school. Like I'm teaching at an elementary school in Tokyo, and then my kids, they live with their mom, and then they see me on the weekends. Yeah.
Right.
And then they're going to they go to like a Japanese.
Okay. Still teaching English, are you?
Yeah. So it's the school that I'm at is I'm teaching in English because most of the kids are foreigners. So their parents are new to Japan. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool then.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting.
Diverse crowd there, I'm sure.
Right. Yeah.
So what I find remarkably interesting is the fact that here in Canada, North America, certainly internationally. I mean, I've also traveled internationally, and as a small town white kid in Finland Falls, when I joined the service and left Canada for the first time, I was really exposed to. It's really my first exposure to real multiculturalism outside of my little world, and it changed me forever. Right. In a positive way. I got to see real poverty. And I actually, you know, as a white guy who can never experience the same experiences that a person of color can experience, I got to see firsthand just how prevalent racism really is in our own societal structure, as well as sort of the places that we were asked to go to in military service. So, your ex-wife, the mother of your children, she's Japanese.
She's Japanese, yes.
So your kids are African Canadian Japanese biracial children.
Yes.
It never, and of course it now that I've moved back to the area and I'm kind of back in that little bubble, which, you know, it's warm and comfortable, and, you know, all these things that I don't really have to think about because I don't see them. But you know, I read both your books, by the way, and they're fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Which we're going to talk about a little bit later, because I want to ask a couple questions about those. But racism in other countries, you know, does it look the same as it does in North America?
I would say in Japan, if you ask the people in Japan, they'd say, no, we're not racist.
Right.
They would say, oh, we're not racist. But I think that I think in North America, there's like a history. Like there was slavery, the civil rights movement, there's poverty, there's different like aspects. And whereas Japan, they haven't really had that much contact with like foreigners. Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, culturally speaking, Japan has a history of, what's the word? I don't think it's Puritanism, but it's very close. Like there's a purist kind of or Japanese. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you live there, so I mean, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Like we are, because I remember I had a white buddy, right? White buddy, and we were going to a restaurant.
Yeah.
And he walked into the restaurant, and the lady was like,
"Really?"
Walking forward, right?
Wow.
She was walking forward. She was like this. She was going little Japanese lady. She was like this, right? And then my friend, he's white, right? He's not used to this, right?
No.
So he's like, what's going on here, right? He's like, we just want to get something to eat, you know what I mean? And the lady's like, no, you can't go in. And he was asking me, I was like, look, man, I mean, we should just go to another restaurant. We don't need to go here. And he's like, this is racist. This is terrible. I was like, man, no. Let's just go to another place. Let's just, let's get somewhere.
Do you get a sense? I know we're making light of it and you're laughing, but do you get a sense of like social justice out of that? Seeing a white guy getting discriminated?
No. I mean, it opened his eyes because I never experienced it before, right?
Right.
So like in Japan, it's like it does. It's I mean, it's a good country. I don't want to bash Japan and say, this.
Of course,
yeah. But I think that
these are the realities that
we live in.
Non Japanese people who are living there, like international residents. That is a reality of living in Japan.
Right. So you get people that are really interested in interacting with foreigners, and you get people that are like, why don't you just leave?
Right.
And that would go for a person that's black or the person that's white, a person that's brown. It's pretty much we Japanese and you're the foreigners.
And you're not.
Right.
And you're not.
So from the restaurant point of view, in her mind, is it better for her business not to have you there? Would that stop her regular clients from coming in?
It would make people feel uncomfortable.
Right. So, and as a business owner, she's, you're bad for business. Out, which is right.
It is. I mean, okay, if we look at it like in pure monetary like sense, right? Okay, yes, having foreigners there probably would maybe she had a bad experience, right?
Okay,
with a foreign customer, or maybe she thinks, okay, I can't speak to them in English, and they're going to ask me a bunch of questions. So I'd rather just not deal with it.
Right. Stick with what she's knows and what she's used to, and the clientele that she has.
Right. But I mean, for him, my friend who's white, he was like, "Oh my God, don't call them."
Really?
He wasn't used to it. He wasn't, and he had different experiences. Where the police were like stopping him and asking him for his ID, and he's like, "What do you?" So I think it was
in the racial profiling sense.
They racial profiled him.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, right at the train station.
It's the same thing, right? There's a guy that visually doesn't belong.
Yeah, what are you doing here?
And it's like, oh my. But that's
and he's white, So I remember we were meeting up at the train station, and he was getting talked to by the police. I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And they were asking him, they're like, can you see your ID? Can we search you? All this kind of, and he's white, so I mean, he loves Japan just like I do, but but he's never experienced that. He would never experience that, say, in Canada. Yeah.
No.
You have to go outside to get that kind of like experience.
Yeah.
So. But it shocked me because I was like, "Well, you guys are not going to stop me. I'm free to go."
Yeah. And again, so this is where I go back to as a white kid living in small town, rural Canada. This is an experience that I can never appreciate. So I appreciate the candor of what it's like to be somebody living abroad and experiencing that in a completely different way.
Right.
I know we had some interesting. It's funny. The one thing I always said about military services, we always go to these places where and like governments are like they're wanting us to come. So
yes,
as an organization, we go to these places, and yet my experiences from within the military, and this is sort of the other end of it was, and I always question this: why do we go to these places and then we treat the locals like they're the foreigners? I never understood that, and it never sat well with me.
Yes.
So, I'm glad to be done with that part of my life, to be honest. So clearly, I mean, your books, they're children's books, and they focus around the concepts of biracialism, bullying, and to some degree, racism.
Yes. Yeah.
They're wonderfully written.
Thank you.
I read them both. I read Mio first, and I'm going to put the picture of that one up so we can talk about that one. Here we go. So there it is. Mio the Beautiful. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration for this one.
Okay. So basically my daughter was she was attending Japanese school here in Yokohama.
Right.
And she's like a good student. She had many friends. She really liked the school, and she never had a problem there. And we never had a problem from the teachers. And she was really happy going to school. So she never complained, never said anything. She just normally just going to school, having a good time, good kid, good, not a problematic child, right? Just not somebody you would think that, oh, she deserved this or something.
Nobody.
So,
by the way, nobody deserves. To be treated
of course. But I mean, I agree with you, right? So just like a normal kid, happy-go-lucky. And then one day she came back from school, and she said, "I don't want to go to school anymore."
Right.
And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you don't want to go to school anymore, right? And then I was like, why? What's going on? And she's like, I just don't want to go to school, right? And so kept asking her, and then she's like, there's some kids that are making fun of me because I have a different skin color and they're making fun of my skin color.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh man, because the thing is that I thought, right, in my imagination or my belief, I thought, okay, this happened to me when I was a kid growing up in Toronto.
Yeah.
And this also happened to my mother when she was growing up in Toronto. And then I thought, okay, we're in like 2000. We've got all these like YouTube and all this, or 2000. We've got all these different avenues to learn about different people.
Yeah, we're so much more connected in the digital age.
Right. And so I was like,
it rears its
head.
Just
broke my heart. Like it just because I was like, I thought this would stop. You know, I thought this like making fun of somebody because they're different than you would stop. And it didn't. And so that really really broke my heart, like to hear that, you know, that was happening.
I think as it would, we're all parents in this. I mean, all of us are parents.
Yeah.
When I think we would all feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's disheartening, right? Because right, as you say, you just want your child to move forward, be happy, you know, have their best life. And, you know, and maybe it's the wrong thing. Kids are kids. Kids are miserable.
Right.
It just takes a couple of them to get together and realize that
kids are cruel to each other. They really are.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know if it's social pecking order or, as you say, right. We've talked about this too, where
nature versus nurture, peer pressure, all those other things that
right.
But again, right. It's as much as you raise your kids right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like I raised my kids right. And, you know, sometimes the things that come out of my eldest's mouth, I'm like, wow, that was never something that you would have picked up in our household. And it's like,
right.
Where's it coming
association from, or people that he's hung out with or different experiences he's had in his life have given him definitely a different spin that I'd be like, I don't understand how you're seeing it that way, where, you know, I never would see that same thing. You say, you know, red and I'm saying yellow. I'm like, how do you not see that it's yellow? And he's like, it's just not. And I'm like, but that's it, eh? And as I say, it breaks your heart, but then I wonder too, is like, do you try to just, you never had that conversation with your daughter. You assumed it was moving forward and straight, right? And then you had to have the conversation with your daughter.
Yeah, like it wasn't something we really brought up. You know what I mean? Like it's something that I just thought, okay, she speaks Japanese fluently.
Yep.
She's integrated in the culture. She likes Japan. She likes, you know, the culture. She likes the school. Yeah. And then I knew that I had to do something, because in Japan, the bullying is a lot different than the Canadian style of bullying.
Sure. Can you kind of give us a little bit of insight in like what's different, what it looks like?
So what it looks like is that it's more like psychological. So it's not like a physical. So people just won't talk to you.
Really?
Yeah. So they'll just be like, "Yep, you don't exist."
Oh. Wow.
And they will like, they'll kind of like, you know, do things like it's like a psychological. And sometimes even the teachers are involved. Like they're just like, "Oh, that's the kid that's going to be bullied." So yeah, we've got 40 kids. You know, not one is going to be the guy.
40 kids in the class. We can afford one.
Right. Yeah. There's 40 kids, and they're like, okay, one of those kids is going to get bullied. I'm super busy.
That's just the real
and that's just the way it's going to be. Yeah. And sometimes when you bring that up, like we were fortunate that my daughter's principal,
right,
he was like a really proactive person.
Okay.
Because a lot of the times it's just like, oh, let's just, you know, everything is good, everything is okay. You're just making a big fuss. It's just kids being kids.
Oh, wow. Never heard that before.
Right. So I think it was because I worked in Japanese schools,
right?
Also for a bit, so I seen it firsthand. I was like I said I was working in a junior high school, and I was like, why doesn't anyone talk to that child? Like, why is everyone ignoring them? And it was and the teacher was just like, oh, that's just he's just different. I was like,
oh, okay,
yeah. It's like.
It's funny.
And I'm like, okay, don't ask me any more questions.
I think that's my own stereotype too, that, I would say, very polite, all those things, but they've managed to turn that to, oh, we'll still be polite, but it's like,
does that go back to like what we were saying before, like even back to like the Second World War, where Japan had this like isolationist policy where it was like nobody comes in, we are Japan and that's it. So I mean, again, going back to that nature versus nurture as a generational thing, this is a learned behavior. I mean, the psychology of it doesn't change, just because you're in a different country. It's still the same. These people learned it from somewhere.
Yeah, no, it's not that like, I mean, Japan with like, Japan was like, there's many different, I don't want to, I guess I'll use the word tribe because that's the easiest. So there's like the North, the South.
Yeah.
And then the Central. And so what they did is that they had to unite the whole country.
Yeah, okay, because it's not just one big island.
Yeah, there's like many little islands, with different people. And so they said, okay, we're going to unite everybody, and everybody will be Japanese, and everyone from the outside is an outsider.
Right.
Yeah, but like ethnically, there are differences with the people from the North and the people from the South. You can see it.
Sure, there would be. I mean, northern Japan, just across the Sea of Japan, is Korea. Right.
So you see different people, but in the school, there's a saying in Japanese society: the nail that sticks up, we hammer it down.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like if you're like unusual in any way, like because my daughter doesn't wear the uniform, but like when she gets to junior high school, everyone wears a uniform. Everyone has to have the same haircut.
Yeah.
Everyone has to do the same thing,
Yeah. And do you have to wear the same hairstyle?
Well, there's certain rules. They have like a rule book.
Yeah.
And so if you have your hair in a certain way, then you get sent to the principal's office and they tell you to change that. Yeah.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
All right. So it's strict. I mean, you got 40 kids in the class, right?
Well, and I mean, I certainly can understand. I can understand order and discipline. I just don't know if I agree with that level of uniformity, on a young mind that is that impressionable. Does it send the right message? I mean, I wore a uniform for for 15 years. So, I mean, I get it. There's some comfort in that, but at the same time, like, there are kids that don't do well with that.
Yes, but I think the thing is that I mean, there's good things and there's pluses and minuses, right?
Sure.
I think one of the pluses is that people work together. Like they have it's not so much about me; it's more about the group, the benefit of the group. And then when the teacher has like 40 kids, and he or she's teaching 40 kids in a classroom, that's a lot of kids with one teacher.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean? It's not like Canada where you have a smaller class size.
The ratio is smaller. Yeah.
There's 40 kids there, and they're all, so it's kind of like they're a little bit. They're nice, they're kind, but there are like rules that you have to follow.
Well, you bring up a really good point, because I just want to segue this for a second, because here we are the last 2 years of our life. The joke here is, hey, we're in year 2 of the 15 days to flatten the curve where COVID-19 is concerned, right? Here in North America, at least in Canada, when we talk about international news and Japan comes up with how well Japan is handling the pandemic. Right. And there's mention of like Japanese culture is all about preserving the culture and helping the, Japanese help each other.
Right.
So that has come up as a real reason why the numbers are significantly lower there, because everybody already wears a mask to begin with, and it's all about making sure it's what's best for everybody else. And people in North America just can't grasp that, but yet it's so contrasted against what's happening to your daughter.
Right. Yeah. Like, yeah, you're right. Because everyone does wear a mask. Everyone, no talking on the train. You know, like very, very, you know, and like all the rules. And so there's good and bad. Yeah. It's good and bad.
So you've had to have this conversation with your daughter. You've decided that you need to do something about it. So what do you do?
So initially, when I heard the news, like I heard that there was these kids bullying her.
Sure.
My initial reaction was, okay, I'm going to go down to the school, point to the kids,
right,
and let me just deal with them, right? And then I was like, okay, no, that's not a good idea. That's not going to get the results. You know, I'm going to get thrown in jail. I'm going to be yelling at some kid, you know, and this is not going to be a good idea, right?
Right.
And then I was like, okay, maybe Mio, you can fight them, right? I'll teach you how to fight. Go down there and
sure.
And then she's like, Dad, I don't want to do that, right? So what I did is that I actually I asked the teacher if I could go to the school and do a presentation.
Okay.
Because I thought that it's an education problem. These aren't bad kids that were bullying my daughter. I thought, we just haven't seen anyone that maybe looks like me. And so they don't know that, you know, this guy's an actual human being. And, you know, that's, so so what I did is that I brought in some books, and my grandmother, she's a writer too. And then I brought in her book, and I brought in different resources.
Right.
And then I just talked to the kids about Canada. I was like, yeah, in Canada, we have this guy named P.K. Subban. He's a hockey player.
Yeah.
He plays for Montreal. And I was talking about it's like, Mio was born in Yellowknife. And, you know, I have dark skin. And the reason why I have dark skin is because I'm African. And, you know, we have to have darker skin because, you know, and I just explained it to the kids. And actually, the kids, the students that were bullying Mio, their parents actually came in and helped with the presentation.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So they actually came in and they were like, yeah, we'll help you translate it. And then afterwards, like I had like, they invited me to have lunch with the children. I talked to everybody.
Right.
And then it kind of, she doesn't get bullied anymore. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So it's positive. Yeah.
So I'm reading the book last night, and I'm listening to your story, and of course I can see the parallels. This is very much her story.
Yes.
And clearly some of the names have changed. And
yeah.
But as I'm reading the book last night, and your reaction of like, I'm just going to go down there and I'm going to have these kids, North American parents, that's what would happen. Moms would be like, I'm headhunting for these kids, and if you don't do something about it, I'm coming after you.
Right. Yeah.
And yet I'm reading the book and I'm like, nope, we're going to do a lesson on that. And I thought, how creative is that to actually turn something that's, you know, ostensibly a negative thing into a positive, into a learning experience.
Right.
And to have it well received, I thought it was really just super well done.
Thank you.
And by the way, the language in that book, I just want to I'm going to talk about the book here again for a second. I'm going to bring it back up so everybody can see it here. It's Mio the Beautiful. And of course, as we've just been talking to Kinota about the story of his daughter and biracialism and bullying in Japan, the language in this book, and I'm not sure how it reads in Japanese. I don't speak Japanese. I certainly can't read it, but the English translation, I think, you know, what, if I could just ask for a second, what is the target age for this book?
I would say from 6 years to about 10, 6 to 9. Yeah. Grades 1, 2, and 3.
That's perfect, because I was thinking the language is so perfect for, you know, kids where like they're kids who can read full sentences, who have the comprehension level for it. It's not written above them and it's not written below them. It just fits in this nice space where the message is clear, that bullying is wrong.
Right.
And then the idea that we can have a conversation around that, it's perfect, because as I was reading it, of course, I'm reading it as a 46-year-old man, and I'm like, there's no talk about repercussions. There's no talk about guilt or remorse. And I thought, well, that's great, because kids don't necessarily understand those concepts. But if you tell them that this is wrong, and the reason why it's wrong is because these people are human beings too, as you have done in the book, it's the perfect message in the perfect language for the perfect target audience. And I think it's just beautifully written.
Yeah. So I read it to many kids. I read it to students, and one student said, asked, well, so what did you get from the book? And he's like, oh, this book is like about butterflies.
Really?
They're all different colors, but they're beautiful.
Oh, wow. That's a great analogy.
Yeah. I was like, wow, this kid, I'm voting for you for president.
Yeah, really.
Good.
Yeah.
So when you published this book, you went about it via Kickstarter. Is that correct?
So Mio the Beautiful, I did that all on my own. I just I figured out a way that there's this Amazon publishing, self-publishing. So I didn't know how to write a book. I had no idea of what to do. So I found a artist, like through Googling. Like I just Googled illustrator. I found somebody, and then I was like, okay, I don't really know how. I know the story, so I wrote that.
Right.
And then I got the illustrator to make the illustrations.
Right.
And then I found somebody to basically do the layout of the book, because I had no clue of how to do that.
You know, it's funny because in our podcasting venture, I mean, we had no idea what we were doing either. And so it's funny because, you know, a lot of the front end, a lot of the creative stuff that Scott and I do, we're fine to do that. And then we turn around and we hand it off to Andy in the background, who does all of this like wonderful post-production. And suddenly there's audio clips and there's video clips and there's all this creative visual stuff packed in there that I would have no idea how to do.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the one thing I said to Andy last night. I'm like, do we know who illustrated this book? Because the illustrations are really good. My point being that like you say, there's a moment where you don't know how to do this. So you basically randomly look up an illustrator and you kind of put your trust in them that they're going to produce something that fits your vision.
Right.
And by the looks of things, I mean, in my opinion, the illustrations are they're spot on.
Yes. Yeah. Because the illustrator, she's actually from Indonesia.
Right.
And I looked up her work, and she had an interest. Well, she has an interest in Japanese culture.
Right. So
she knew exactly how to draw it, because she was like, oh, okay, so you want this? You want a kimono? She already knew all the. It wasn't like giving her something that was like foreign to her. She was familiar with Japanese culture, so she knew how to do it. So I was really lucky. I was really fortunate to find her.
That's awesome. And she did the illustrations for your second book as well, right?
She did, yeah. And that's the one I did through Kickstarter.
Right.
Yeah.
So I thought with the second book, I wanted to focus on children that return to Japan from abroad. And there's like a group of children. They're called returnees.
Okay.
So they're born in Japan.
Yes.
And then they come back to live in Japan from being overseas.
Right.
And if they don't, like, say if I'm a Japanese family, I move to, say, Toronto for work or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not living in Japanese society.
Okay.
So now when the parents move back to Japan, and maybe your Japanese isn't as good as somebody
who's been there the whole time.
So now you're considered a foreigner.
Oh, wow.
In your own country.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see how that can be problematic.
Right. So I knew that there's a lot of my son, he went through that experience, like moving back to Japan after being outside of the country. So he had a little bit of a rougher start. Then I wanted to write a book for those kids that are returning to Japan and who don't fit in. And then to use a sport such as kendo.
Yeah.
Because kendo is a sport that like everyone can pretty much play.
Is it sort of like, is kendo considered to be like a national pastime for Japanese people?
No, but it's one of their national. I think it's one of their sumo and then kendo. It's kind of like when you practice kendo, it builds up your spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like fencing. Like it's fencing.
Right. Sword play.
Yeah.
I guess I was just kind of trying to, is it like, how North Americans consider like baseball, right? Like it's the game anybody can play, right?
Well, not as popular. It would be like more like fencing for us.
Right.
Yeah. Not as popular. Baseball would be very popular in Japan.
Interesting though. And so your son is actually the character in the book.
Yes. Yeah. I was gonna, like, when I wrote it, I thought I needed a sport because my son's like a runner.
Okay.
I can't use running because what if, a kid that's excluded and you join the running club and you can't run.
Right.
I was like, okay, I'll choose a sport that many children can join into, and they can see that, if you join sports or if you do some activity, then you can make friends.
Right. And to use a traditional Japanese sport like that, it definitely reinforces that whole, embracing everybody.
Right. Yeah. So that was the idea.
Well, this one, reading this one last night, I actually thought, much like Mio, the language again is just sort of appropriate. Did you write this one, with the intent of maybe a slightly older audience?
Yes. So this one I wrote for children probably about not 8, 9, or 10 or 11 years of age. Yeah.
Right. So that's like grades, what, 5, 6,
4, 5. Because it is a picture book. So most of the kids at that time, they're like, picture book, I don't know. Yeah. But it's kind of has
more paragraphs per page.
Yeah. So I kind of, it's not a chapter book, but I wanted it to, because it's written both Japanese and English.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to like tone it down, like just cut it down because it would really get into.
Right.
If I tried to do a chapter book, so I thought, okay, I'll stick with the picture book and have the images and
it totally it totally makes the story though. I mean, the visual component is great when you get to see Kai and his friend Sky, the British student.
Right.
Just contrasted with those other kids, the other Japanese kids, just that completes the picture, the acceptance picture, and everybody can come together. And I love the way it's drawn.
Yeah.
So what do your kids think about being the topics of your books?
Yeah, really.
My daughter is pretty happy, that I wrote the book. And then my son, like, he was like, well, you got to write a book for me. So, so I haven't really introduced it to their school because I didn't want to bring too much fanfare to their, so we haven't really talked about it at their school, but they're pretty happy. I think for me, I could see their happiness, but I knew that there's other children out there who are going through the same thing.
Right.
Yeah. So there's other kids that are being bullied in Japan, or so I was like, I know my daughter's okay, but that's not enough.
Yeah.
And then I took on these projects in order to help kids that are being bullied and make a resource for teachers.
Right.
Yeah. So
let me ask you, when the royalties start pouring in, are the kids going to be expecting a cut?
yeah. Well, I got to give them their check every.
Yeah.
they're asking, Dad, what about that one? Or what, Yeah. So, yeah. I'm like, okay, guys, we'll go 50-50 here,
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got a third book in the works here. Let's go run through that one a little bit. Tell us about the third one.
Third one. Okay. So this is a continuation of Mio the Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then this is this coloring book that we made.
Oh, good.
And
so
then
this is out now?
The coloring book is already out. So I took the images from Mio the Beautiful, and I thought, hey, okay, so this book I'm writing so many books now. It's just like,
oh wow.
This book right here, this is called Mio's Wish.
Yes.
And basically this is a story of because sometimes like we have certain experiences like living in Japan.
Yep.
So Mio's wish is that she just wishes that we can all be living together in peace. So this book is more like situations that Mio and Kay and I have experienced in Japan.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Yeah. So
this is what you're working on now. When can we possibly maybe expect to see this back up on Amazon?
I think it's September. Yeah, because I'm just I got to take a little bit of a rest.
So time for a break, right?
Yeah. But I think now that I have it in my head, I just want to just pour it all out and then I'm done.
Okay, well that's great.
Has the process gotten easier?
It has. Yeah, it's gotten easier, like the technical aspect, because I now understand. Oh, okay, you do this, you do that. But then to come up with a story or to come up with something that would be interesting, I kind of have to like really, really think about it, really, how this would sound and how people reading this would think about it, so I really think about it before because I want it to be something that is, I don't want it to be like a simple story. I want it to have different elements,
Right.
Yeah.
Invoke a thought, right?
Yes, to get people thinking and talking.
So can you tell me, just thinking about other people out there, other content creators, and going through the Amazon process, and this is more for people who are maybe out there and they have a project that they're working on and they're not really sure what to do. Any words of wisdom on the self-publishing thing through Amazon that might help other writers out there?
I think the thing is that if you, depends on, I would say I can speak on like children's books.
Yep.
I think what you would do is that you need to, because it's 32 pages, so you have to really write it. You got to write a very concise story. That's the first thing.
So there's a page count, like a limit.
There's a limit. So you don't go over that 32 pages, and I think a lot of those pages are like copyright, and so you got to really get a story done.
32
and then,
pages with all of your credits.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man.
Right. So you got to really get the story out there. And so that's one thing. And then you just got to write something and then have your family or friends read it.
Sure.
And then every story has like a problem that needs to be solved.
Right.
So you got to think, okay, what is the problem? What is the character going to do? And how are they going to solve the problem? And then once you start writing it, and then you hand that over to an illustrator. And then with if you don't do the illustrations yourself, then you've got to like basically write very descriptive things of what you want it to look like. Yeah.
Otherwise, you do what we do and you blindly hand it off and hope what comes back it fits your narrative.
Right.
Fortunately, in our case, it does every time.
Right. So
we call Andy the wizard.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He knows what he's doing. So yeah, and then after that, then you find somebody to do the layout of the book, because they know how to like put the trim, and there's all these like technical things.
Right. Yeah.
You just hire somebody to do that, and then Amazon has like a program where you can self-publish.
Okay.
And so you put that up on the net, and then you have to market the book because it just doesn't sell by itself. You got to like go out there.
Just miraculously 1 million copies went overnight.
No, it's not. It's out there on Amazon, but unless you're out there like talking about it and like promoting it, then it's just there. And there's
some legwork to be done.
I mean, you gotta hit the bricks on that.
Yeah. So you got to get out there, and you got to like you got to start talking to people and talking about your cause, and you've done
quite a few interviews, right, and different things, and
right.
Like, you start digging into your Facebook page, and it's like, right, you've done a lot of work, and and puttering away, and I saw that Mio is in a few of those interviews, kind of sitting outside, big smile on her face.
Yes.
So I was just going to bring up a shot of your website here. We can actually show the people who are watching on our YouTube channel can actually see kind of what we're talking about here. So here's a shot of Kinota's website, which is pretty much, I guess it's a bit like a landing page for all of your books, and of course it has sort of your mission as well as some contact information for you, and people can sign up for your mailing list on here. I signed up for your mailing list when I got my free copy of K, which I thought, hey, that's cool, I'll sign up. So I mean, this is definitely a good way to reach people. What else are you doing to promote?
So the promotion, basically, I was featured in this newspaper called Toyo Keizai.
Okay.
And basically it's one of the, I think, top Japanese business paper in the country.
Really?
And so I went on Facebook. I said, I wrote this book, and then one of the columnists from Toyo Keizai, he contacted me. He's like, I want to write about you.
Oh, wow.
And then it went in the newspaper all throughout Japan. So
that was really awesome.
That was pretty awesome. Yeah, it was a pretty good honor.
I guess. I don't think I've ever had national news. I'm lucky if I make the local paper.
There you go.
The thing is that I just wanted to it's not really about me. It's just like what I like. I go home and I'm like, wow, there's like kids being bullied, and maybe schools don't know how to deal with it.
Yeah,
and I take it like, it's kind of my mission. Like I want the books to be out there so that there's resources to deal with this problem.
Well, it's definitely it's a noble cause, and it's I wish there were more people out there like you doing this, that are aiming down towards the next generation who are coming up behind us, because that's how we're gonna save the world. It's the kids of the world that are gonna, not old time.
I'm trying. I'm sure I'm trying. I give it all my I give a good effort, because I it just breaks my heart to know that there's other kids out there that are that have went through or going through that thing that my daughter went through.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I try to and this is just my way of like saying, hey, bullying is not cool. Like, this is not cool. We can do better than this, right? We can obviously do better. Treat people nice, treat people with respect, and
it's never okay.
Yeah. So
Anything else on the go in your world besides writing? What else is going on in your world?
Mainly right now, just writing. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
we're just writing. I moved to the beach. I moved out of Tokyo to the beach side here.
Oh, that's nice. Is that on the Sea of Japan side or the Pacific side?
So that would be a good question. I know it's Sagami Bay, so that would Sea of Japan.
Yeah.
hold on. I got to get my geography out here. Yeah.
You have Japan, between Japan and the mainland Asia, and then everything on the outside would be the Pacific.
Pacific. Yeah, it's Pacific side. Yeah.
Well, cool. On the Pacific side.
So
That's nice, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not bad. You know, I got a longboard, like a skateboard.
Nice. I was gonna say you're gonna hit the waves. Good for you.
Yeah. So we're taking it easy. We're taking it easy.
That's awesome. Our beach, I don't even think is going to be open this year.
No.
Yeah, well, so there's a beach in Finland, right?
There is. I don't know what the status of that one is yet this year either. I mean, we've been hit with some and I don't remember it as a kid, and I don't know if it's because we didn't test for it or just because the numbers were low, but the last few years have been like these real spikes in E. coli. So local beaches have been open and closed like periodically over the last few years. So some years are good and other years not so much.
And there was a place up in Burnt River, no? Like there was a really nice beach up there.
What's the name of it? 4 Mile.
Yeah, I mean they're sprinkled all through, right? So I mean everyone's got that secret beach,
the little hidey hole.
Yeah, well, we were talking there. We had Miles Gibney on, and he was talking about Sandy Beach and Buckhorn.
Oh, that's right.
And then within the week, I saw somebody say that they've got it all taped off and closed. So for whatever reason, but I mean that seems to be. And then the other big thing here is the algae bloom. So if it gets hot, all of a sudden it's the algae just ramps up to 100, and then same thing. The water is just not great for swimming, right? So
but and then the other one that we don't really talk about that much is the wild rice.
Right.
The wild rice. So there's a native rights issue that's been going on for the last few years, and so the local help me out here.
Curve Lake
First Nations have basically been exercising their rights, and they've been seeding wild rice pretty much everywhere. So from a recreational standpoint, the waterways are being choked off. So it makes it a little hard for people who maybe want a boat or, use them for anything other than fishing or harvesting rice. That's been an issue here for the last couple of years too. So
but and you know what, I can see both sides of the story. And the gentleman that does a lot of the seeding, he's in that mindset that's his
ancestral right.
And there's only so much. I wonder too, like as people have kind of,
how much of this are you eating
or selling? Like, you sell some of it, and it is good rice, but it's still like, how much can a 2-man operation harvest?
I know,
right?
It's, and then it just becomes pervasive. Thank you.
Not a cerveza.
Oh, maybe today.
It's too early in the morning for that.
Cerveza por favor.
Maybe later.
Well, we could just pretend we're running on.
We're on Kinota time.
Yeah, and then it's like all good. Well, you know what? That's fabulous. And as I say, you know what? You're doing, as Wes said, such a noble thing, reaching out and helping people that, might not get it otherwise. So, from parents, you know what? Thank you for, doing something that you didn't need to do.
Yeah.
But you knew you needed to. So, I mean, right? That
makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, but I mean, there's lots of people that would just go, it'll go away. It'll, however your parenting style is, but you were very proactive, and, can't say enough about that, as a parent, right? I guarantee you, I've probably told my children that, head down, eyes down, march forward.
Yeah.
And, and not had the difficult conversation or literally gone and done something about it. So, it's nice to hear that you can do that, and it works. And so it's exciting.
Thank you.
Yeah. Exciting for you. Exciting to know and talk to a published author.
Yeah.
No, I don't look at it like, I don't look at it like, I don't look at it like that,
Give credit where credit's due, because we're not published.
We'll tweet or honk your horn. No worries. No worries.
Yeah. Mio is now a #1 bestseller, correct?
Yeah. It kind of fluctuates this, but we we did hit the bestseller, and I think it was there for like 3 or 4 months.
That's really exciting, though.
Yeah,
I mean, to appear on a bestseller list, anywhere, has got to say something. It's got to feel good.
Yeah, like I mean, to me, I think like, okay, we're on the news, we're on the bestseller and this and that, but I'm just like, okay, look, there's still kids being bullied, right? So I gotta keep working. I gotta keep.
Man, you are so humble.
Yeah,
you are so humble, and I very much appreciate that, because really, I mean, it is about the message and getting the message out there, and I guess my point about being on a bestseller list is that people are getting the message. But
yes, definitely. Like there was, I get emails. I had a teacher last week say, we use this book in our class to resolve a bullying situation.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wow, that's really, really nice. Like it was really, I was really happy that they were able to use the book, and that's what the book's purpose was.
Right.
Yeah. That just to not blame anybody, to not call anybody anything, just to say, hey kids, like, this is not nice, and we should treat people better.
We should treat people better. And, I'm glad there are people out there like you doing the hard work.
Yeah, but I guess that's just my way. Like I just want to help some kids that because it's their right. Like I mean, it's a child's. I keep saying it, but I hope that every child can have a happy childhood. Yeah, not have to go through that.
No.
So that's what
anybody out there that would argue that one at all. No one's going to disagree with that.
Yeah. So that's all I'm trying to do.
Listen here, guys, before we close this one off, I just want to turn to my partners here and say, is there anything else anybody wants to talk about?
I'm good today.
Yeah.
I enjoyed this. So, a big thanks from me.
Right. Thank you.
Kinota, before we get going, there's one tradition we like to do here at the Barbershop, and we just want to give you an opportunity if there's any other side projects that you want to talk about, and how can people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you?
Okay, so I'm on Facebook, so you can connect with me there, and then I'm also on Instagram. But I'm mostly active on Facebook. So if you want to, see what I'm doing, then or what the projects we're working on, then I'm there on Facebook, and it's Kinota. Yeah, I believe my Facebook is like Kinota. Yeah, my Facebook. I have to check that, but I believe it's like Kinota. So Kinota. You can.
So we'll make sure that we'll get the right links, and we'll make sure that they're included when this goes up. All right. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for wanting to do this with us. I'm sorry it's taken us so long to get to the table. I know there was some coordination issues, but we did it. We're here.
Yeah.
We had the conversation. I think it's a great conversation. I hope we have the opportunity to speak again. When the book comes out, and if you ever find yourself back on this side of the world, we're just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Okay, we'll go for a beer.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, is the Cow and Sow still there or no?
Cow and Sow is still there
now. Again, I think renovating again,
changed hands finally.
Okay,
Dickon has
Now,
retired.
the nice thing is, and we've become big fans of the old livery stable at the that runs sort of parallel to the locks
Water Street.
On Water Street. It's now a brewery.
The Finland Falls Brewing Company.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's fun. So that's sort of a returnee story too. Gosh, would that have been the 80s?
So hold on, is that near the subway? Is that
down the street?
Down the street, beside the beside the Scoops and Slices, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So right, there's a couple businesses, and then the whole livery stable. They bought the whole thing.
Yes.
A ton of money into it, and make good beer.
They do.
Okay, so that's where we're going, boys.
Yeah. So it's funny. So that's sort of as I was saying, a returnee story, because in the 80s. And I might be wrong. I want to say it's Vietnamese, and if it's not, I apologize. There was a family that came to Finland and sort of boarded or whatever with do you remember Sandra and Bud Barrett? I don't know if they've been longtime Finland people, really salt of the earth, and they kind of sponsored this family to come across. And then as they got older and got settled in Canada, they moved down to the GTA.
Right.
And the younger brother, Ving, has come back and invested in the community. So, right, gone for X amount of years, and then he's hired a top-notch brewer, Russell, the brewer.
What was the you don't remember his name? No.
The older brother was Wing. I know that for sure because he was my age, and then it's the younger brother, and I believe it's either Ving or Vin, but I'm more than likely wrong because I'm terrible at that.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there on recording so I can show my ignorance.
It's on the internet now. It's there forever.
Yeah. But so, I mean, they've come back. They obviously were doing something in the city and saw an opportunity to come back and buy that building as I guess the Kinzingers were finally retiring and got rid of the building. So, but they gutted it. They've put in $1 million worth of brewing equipment. They've made the upstairs just immaculate. If you check their Facebook page, so it's just Finland Brewing.
Wow.
If you even remember that building and what it was, filled with old lady clothes, it's a really cool.
Or maybe was it Dockside Grill by that time?
Some of it might have been.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I mean, right? They just bought the whole
thing.
The quarter of the block, whatever the building was. But they kind of built it, gutted it. They got a running kitchen in there too. So they do some cool food combinations along with the beer, very hand in hand. So and of course, they opened just right. I think they got 2 years in, right? And then they've run into some issues, obviously, with
like everybody else has.
But they seem to have been doing okay. So
good. That's good to hear. It's hard, yeah.
Yeah, that's probably now one of our favorite places to go.
It is when we can actually get in there.
Get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a takeaway, I guess, now.
Always.
They do. Yes, they do.
Yeah, the bottle shop is always open.
And now that that Ontario has relaxed the liquor laws, that we can now buy beer and wine at select grocery stores.
Okay.
We can buy cans just down the street. So that's kind of nice.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. Yeah.
Right? It's convenient. I think that's right how it always goes, right? Is it's good for people that are, working long days and can't make it to a traditional place to get it. But as you say, wherever you sit with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would die for a Fenland Falls pint right now.
I wonder if we can get one in the mail.
Maybe.
Can we get one in the mail? It'll survive the trip.
Lots of bubble wrap.
Oh boy.
Lots of bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite beverage over there, or
well, the typical, it's Asahi Super Dry.
Okay,
but they don't have it's not like Canada where you have a huge selection of, you go there and you see you go to the beer store, there's all these different. Yeah, there's more. I think Japanese people, they have one brand and they like that one.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
Whereas
like
Canada,
it was either Canadian or blue.
Or Coors Light.
Coors Light, yes.
Right. Now it's so diverse.
Or Wildcat. Wildcat. You remember Wildcat?
Oh, I do.
We do.
Right up there with Black Ice.
We had you should go back. We've had some good conversations about beer on the podcast. We've had a few tasting episodes on different ones.
Yeah, we've done some beer tastings on the show before. So it's been interesting.
We've had different discussions about Buck of Beer. So
yeah.
Cheaper does not mean better.
Yeah, no.
Well, that is great. And as I say, I'm so glad that Andy and you managed to have some chit chats off air and managed to get this all ironed out and get us all sort of semi face to face. So
yeah,
right.
No, it was a hoot. I had a good time, and you know what?
Yeah, same here.
It's a great story and it's a great topic. So again, wonderful.
All right,
guys. Well, that's it for me, and I just want to put a special thanks over to our producer, editor extraordinaire, the wizard himself, Andy.
Yeah. Thanks Andy, man.
thank you for arranging all of this.
Yeah, thank you.
And we couldn't do what we do without you. So once again, sir, you are an invaluable member of the team. But that's it for me. I'm your host, Wes.
And I'm Scott.
And we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.
All right, at the barbershop.
Hey, thanks for hanging with us at the Barbershop. You can find us on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Please like and share us on Facebook, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter to stay up to date on all of our shenanigans. Hangin' at the Barbershop is a Sawcast production.